the Epstein trials, it prompted me to want to start looking more into my personal life and who I was, where I came from, and just looking into like my ancestry and stuff. Because my entire life I've been told such crazy things that I wanted to find the truth, basically. Because my entire life I was told I was being protected from something. So I decided to try and find records first so I could prove what I was saying to be true. Because I usually do not like to speak on anything unless there is a way to prove what I am saying. Or at least there is an explanation to show why I had that type of a thought process. Okay. So I started looking at some of the records that I did have because some of those records do give somewhat of a summary of my court case, and those are from when I was a teenager. So I noticed that one of my records stated that I had an attorney that represented me during this time frame that I do not know anything about. No one will tell me about. No one, like the people that raised me said they had no idea what happened to me. But I was told that something did happen to me. So when I noticed the attorney's name, I went and I looked her up and I Googled her. Her name is Maria Griglio. Now, if you go and you look her up and you Google her, you're going to see that she represents children that have been assaulted or that are victims of trafficking. So I went down the rabbit hole of wondering, well, that's weird. Why would I have an attorney that represents children for those things? I don't think I was put through anything like that. No one's told me that, but I have heard bits and pieces of things that I could have possibly endured, and I will share those with you in a few minutes. So I reached out to this attorney right here, and I asked her if she had any records regarding when she represented me in 2004 as a teenager, and if she had access to records that represented me as a child, like from anywhere from 0 or at least 1 to 3, because I ended up with my family that raised me at about 3 years old. This was her response. Good morning, Cherish. Unfortunately, I'm no longer working with Children's Law Center and I don't have access to your records, but I have asked someone from my old firm to reach out to you. I'm copying Mr. Thompson here. Signed her name and where she might possibly still work. Now, this was in 2020 or 2021, and this is the stuff that I started looking into. Now, once I got that response, I reached out to an old social worker that I had when I was a teenager, and I requested records from him, and he was incredibly kind to me as a child and as a teenager and believed me and knew that I needed to be safe. At least that's how I felt. And he had great boundaries. That's something I remember as a teenager. When I asked him about those records from 0 to 3, he told me that he was unable to access them because they were marked case sensitive, as in there was a chance that they were possibly a part of some kind of a crime, and so they were sealed. Here, you're going to see that on February 25th of 2021, I had reached out to Monterey Park, California, DCFS office to try and request those records. This was the response that I got, and then I was then later told that they couldn't give them to me for some reason, even though I filled out all the forms. But at the bottom, you're going to see confidentiality unit. Why? Does anyone understand why I have so many questions, or why I'm just kind of left wondering with all of these different puzzle pieces? So I just decided, well, maybe I'll keep looking. Oh, and here is a snippet of Maria Griglio's resume type situation, where it says that she represents like children of foster care and then also sexually exploited children. So You researcher, you're going to find a lot of information. I never ended up getting those records, by the way. In fact, it was just a series of really odd events where I was being told one thing and then shown another example instead. And I'll even show you an email from Mr. Thompson, who she referred to. Right here, you're going to see that I was trying to get my records on March 18th of 2021, seeing if he was able to find them. And his response up here is, we ran into a hiccup, but the records company received an order from your file earlier today. I never received them. And a lot of really weird stuff started happening when I was trying to gather all of these records. I also reached out to Boys and Girls Town, which is what had prompted me to do all of this in the first place after hearing about some of the information from the Epstein trials. And then that there was like certain symbolism situations that the FBI had released, and there was just all these documents. And so when the Epstein trials started releasing information, I remembered that I had attended a very weird party when I was staying at Boys and Girls Town. I turned 17 years old in that group home because I wanted to stay to celebrate with all of the friends I had just made before I moved to the state of Oregon. Now, the thing is, I don't remember leaving the party. I remember singing at this weird party. There was like a black and white checkered floor. And I actually tracked all of the documents regarding all of this back in 2020. And I figured out that the party was in a place called Agora Hills, and that there had been a bunch of like money from lobbyists that had been put into this party around the time frame that I had been staying in this group home. So I thought that was kind of weird. And so I continued to do some research, and while I was doing that, I had a lot of really weird messages come in from random people, and one of them gave me a link to a documentary called The Fall of the Cabal, and it's a 10-part series on YouTube, and that was again in about 2020 or 2021. This is what it looks like in case you're wondering. So after watching that documentary, it was like really, really eye-opening, and that's what prompted me to start looking into my ancestry, because my last name on my birth certificate is Cherish Ann Wisner Thayer. So I started looking into the Thayer side, which is my father's side, and I started finding a lot of really, really weird, interesting history, like dating all the way back to like Paul Revere. And I started talking about it openly and bringing awareness to it because I thought it was just really weird that we're related to like all of these politicians, and we're related to all of these like historical figures in history as like a family bloodline, and nobody knows who they are. And with my history, with my family, I know that they're all, at least they all appear to be from a drug or crime family. So I just don't understand why no one knows who these people are when there's an award for them. The father of West Point was Sylvanus Thayer. So I go on in these videos talking about all of these things in 2021. And that's after someone had told me to watch this. When doing this research project, other things started popping up in my message boxes or on my feeds. And because I don't know about my history or the things that I've been through during the very first, moments of my life from 0 to 3, no pictures, no information, I came across a picture, and it really triggered me because it looked like me. And I'm going to share this picture, but I want you to try and compare it via nostrils and the eyebrows. Viewer discretion, it's graphic. So I don't know where that picture came from or where it related to, but it scared me enough to start looking deeper. And that's how I found out all of this stuff regarding my court case being sealed. And then I started having memories, and then I started remembering some of the stuff people told me that happened to me when I was in foster care. And it was pretty graphic. And so I'm left with questions, and I'm sure you are too. So I'm just going to keep talking about it and trauma dumping until we can all figure it out together.